Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring the hidden world of relics, where ancient objects are said to carry supernatural powers. Some have been guarded behind locked doors for centuries. Others disappeared during wars, surfaced in unexpected places, or became so dangerous that only a chosen few were allowed to approach them. These are not ordinary museum objects. They are linked with lost knowledge, secret societies, divine weapons, and events that official history has never fully explained. A single fragment could make a king believe he was chosen by heaven. A sealed container could hold something no modern expert has ever examined. A relic dismissed as legend may still be hidden beneath a cathedral, protected by people who believe the world is not ready to see it. And then there are the stranger possibilities. Some relics are said to heal, while some are said to curse. And others may have been deliberately mislabeled, replaced, or hidden in plain sight. If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders relax and notice your eyes grow heavy. And as the day begins to gently fade away, join me as we explore this forbidden world of relics together. Let's begin. The Holy Grail may have survived in a hidden European sanctuary. For centuries, the Grail has been treated as far more than a cup. Some legends describe it as an object capable of healing wounds, extending life, or revealing knowledge forbidden to ordinary people. That may explain why the stories rarely place it in a public church. Instead, the Grail is hidden inside remote castles, secret chapels, or mountain strongholds guarded by people who have waited generations for the right moment to reveal it. The strangest possibility is that these stories were never completely fictional. Powerful groups may have known that possession of such a relic could change the balance of power across Europe. A public discovery would have triggered religious conflict and a battle over who controlled the object. So perhaps concealment was the safest choice. If the Grail still exists, it may not be lost at all. It may be exactly where its guardians intended, hidden behind a story that most people stopped believing long ago. The Ark of the Covenant supposedly carried a terrifying supernatural power. The Ark was never described as a simple religious chest. It went before armies, brought down enemies, and killed people who touched it without permission. Even its construction sounds strangely deliberate. Gold covered the inside and outside. Winged figures faced one another across the lid. Long poles allowed it to be carried without direct contact. Some people believe this was not symbolism. They suspect the Ark functioned like a dangerous energy device built from knowledge far beyond its time. The death surrounding it may have been caused by electrical discharge, radiation, or something even less familiar. Ancient priests wore special garments and followed strict procedures before approaching it. That sounds less like ceremony and more like a safety protocol. Then, before Jerusalem was conquered, the Ark vanished. No wreckage was found. No enemy displayed it as a trophy. It simply disappeared from history. If it survived, someone may still be protecting the most dangerous relic ever described. The Shroud of Turin still divides scientists, believers, and skeptics. The shroud bears the image of a crucified man, but nobody has fully explained how that image appeared. It is not painted in any normal sense. The markings rest on the outermost surface of the fibers, almost as though the cloth was altered by a brief burst of energy. When photographed, the image reveals details with the strange quality of a negative. That effect should not have been possible when the shroud first entered history. Carbon testing placed the cloth in the Middle Ages, but critics argued that the sample came from a repaired section damaged by fire. Other tests have produced clues that point much further back. The wombs also match crucifixion with disturbing precision. If the shroud is a forgery, its creator used a method that has never been convincingly reproduced. If it is genuine, the image may preserve the exact moment when something extraordinary happened to the body beneath it. Either possibility leaves the central mystery wide open. Some sacred relics are said to heal people through physical contact. Across history, people have traveled enormous distances to touch objects believed to hold the power of a saint, prophet, or holy teacher. Some reported that pain vanished immediately. Others claimed that illnesses changed after doctors had given up hope. Skeptics point to coincidence and the power of belief. Yet the stories become harder to dismiss when similar claims appear in cultures separated by centuries and continents. The most unsettling idea is that relics may retain something from the person they once belonged to. Perhaps biological material carries information we do not yet understand. Perhaps intense human belief changes the way the body responds. Or perhaps certain objects become charged through years of ritual and concentrated attention. In many traditions, the relic is not seen as a symbol. It is treated as an active connection to a presence that still exists. If even a small number of these healings were genuine, then death may not end a person's influence as completely as we assume. The Spear of Destiny allegedly grants victory to whoever possesses it. According to legend, this was the spear that pierced the side of Jesus during the crucifixion. Over time, it became linked with emperors who believed it gave them the right to conquer and rule. One version of the weapon eventually appeared in Vienna, where it became surrounded by stories of power, prophecy, and sudden downfall. Adolf Hitler was later rumored to have become obsessed with it after seeing it as a young man. Some accounts claim he believed the spear could help him control history itself. The story grows darker after Germany's defeat, when the relic reportedly passed out of Nazi hands shortly before Hitler died. Historians question much of this legend, but the timing has kept it alive. Perhaps the spear never possessed supernatural power. Perhaps rulers simply became dangerous once they believed destiny had chosen them. Yet another possibility remains. What if the weapon carried an ancient reputation because people had already witnessed something extraordinary around it? If so, every ruler who held it may have feared losing it. Ancient skulls have been credited with knowledge beyond human understanding. Crystal skulls became famous after claims that they came from lost civilizations in Central America. Some were said to store ancient memories, project visions, or reveal humanity's forgotten origins. One legend claimed that 13 skulls would eventually be reunited and release knowledge capable of changing the world. Modern testing showed that several examples were made with recent tools. That should have ended the story, but it only created a deeper suspicion. Why were so many convincing objects produced, and who benefited from spreading the legend? Some people think the known skulls were decoys based on genuine artifacts that remain hidden. Others connect them with unusually shaped ancient human skulls found in places such as Peru. Mainstream explanations point to deliberate head binding, yet certain examples appear so extreme that alternative theories refuse to disappear. Perhaps the skull was chosen because it represented memory itself. If ancient people believed consciousness could survive inside bone or crystal, these objects may have been designed as containers for something we no longer know how to access. Pieces of the true cross became treasures across medieval Europe. Fragments said to come from the cross of Jesus appeared in royal chapels and remote monasteries throughout the medieval world. Kings carried them into battle. Cities displayed them during disasters. Pilgrims crossed countries for a brief glimpse of wood sealed inside gold and crystal. Critics later mocked the number of surviving pieces, claiming that enough existed to build an entire ship. Yet recorded fragments amount to far less than that. The real mystery is how any genuine piece could have been identified after centuries of war and rebuilding. One possibility is that most fragments were copies created to protect a smaller number of originals. If enemies captured a famous relic, they may have taken an impressive decoy, while the real wood remained hidden. Another theory suggests that the fragments were distributed deliberately because no single ruler could then control the whole object. If one authentic splinter still survives among thousands of doubtful examples, nobody may be able to recognize it. The perfect hiding place could be a collection everyone assumes is false. Several churches claim to possess the same body parts of saints. Across Europe, more than one church has claimed the same skull, hand, finger, or entire limb from a famous saint. The obvious explanation is fraud. Relics attracted pilgrims and money, so an important body part could transform an ordinary church into a powerful destination. Yet some duplicate claims may have been created for a very different reason. A genuine relic could be protected by surrounding it with convincing copies. If nobody knew which object was real, thieves and invading armies would have little chance of taking the correct one. Confusion may have been a security system. Medieval records also used vague language, so a tiny fragment could later become remembered as the whole bone. The strangest cases involve several complete heads assigned to one person. That seems impossible unless identities were deliberately changed. Perhaps anonymous remains were given famous names. Or perhaps certain saints were not single individuals at all, but titles carried by several people. The duplicate relics may be preserving a forgotten history beneath an apparently ridiculous mistake. Religious relics have vanished during wars and resurfaced centuries later. When armies approached, monks and priests often had only hours to hide their most valuable objects. Relics were buried beneath floors, sealed inside walls, or carried into the countryside by people who never returned. Entire generations could pass before anyone discovered what had been hidden. Some objects later appeared in private collections with no clear explanation of where they had been. Others resurfaced during building work inside forgotten chambers. That history creates the perfect setting for substitution. A relic might vanish during a war and return years later, but nobody could prove that the same object had come back. In some cases, institutions may have accepted a replacement because the public story mattered more than the material truth. More mysterious still is the possibility that certain relics never returned at all. They may remain beneath ruined churches or inside family estates whose owners have no idea what they possess. The greatest sacred treasures in history could be sitting in ordinary boxes, labeled incorrectly and completely overlooked. Secret societies may have protected powerful relics from public discovery. Stories of secret brotherhoods often begin where official history ends. The Knights Templar remain the most famous example. They spent years near the Temple Mount, gained extraordinary wealth, and became powerful enough to worry kings. Later legends claimed they found sacred objects or forbidden records beneath Jerusalem. When the order was destroyed, much of its treasure was never recovered. Some ships also disappeared from a French port before arrests began. That gap in the record has inspired theories that relics were moved through a hidden network and passed into the hands of other groups. Rosicrucians and Freemasons later became part of the same mystery. Perhaps these organizations guarded objects that could undermine accepted history. The goal may not have been worship or personal power. It may have been containment. A relic capable of starting wars or destroying religious authority would be safer if the public believed it was only a legend. The greatest success of such a society would be making everyone doubt it ever existed. Ethiopia claims the original Ark remains guarded inside a small chapel. In the ancient city of Aksum, one small chapel is said to contain the Ark of the Covenant. Only a single guardian is allowed to enter, He remains near the building for life and names his successor before he dies. No visitor can inspect the object. No photograph has ever settled the question. Ethiopian tradition says the Ark arrived through Menelik, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. According to the story, it left Jerusalem long before the temple was destroyed. Critics see a powerful national legend protected by secrecy. Believers see secrecy as exactly what such an object would require. Some former guardians were said to develop unusual eye problems, which has encouraged speculation about radiation or another dangerous effect. If the chapel contains only a copy, the restrictions have preserved an extraordinary mystery. If it contains the real Ark, then the most important lost relic in history may be sitting in plain sight while the world is forbidden to look inside. The crown of thorns survived revolutions, fires, and repeated political upheaval. The crown of thorns has passed through the hands of emperors, kings, revolutionaries, and cathedral guardians. It survived the fall of Constantinople, the French Revolution, and the devastating fire at Notre Dame. Each escape seems to have strengthened the belief that the relic is somehow protected. Yet the object displayed today raises questions. It appears as a circular bundle without the thorns most people expect. Those were supposedly removed over centuries and distributed to churches across Europe. This means the famous relic may now be only the structure that once held its most important parts. Some people suspect that a secret exchange took place during one of its many transfers. The crown shown publicly could be a ceremonial replacement, while the original remains hidden elsewhere. That would explain how it survived periods when countless religious treasures were destroyed. Perhaps each disaster caused the relic to be moved again. Its long history may not be a story of miraculous survival. It may be a story of perfect concealment. Charlemagne's sword became linked to legends of divine kinship. The sword known as Joyeux was said to belong to Charlemagne, the ruler who rebuilt an empire across much of Europe. Legends claim that part of the Holy Lance was hidden inside its hilt. If true, the weapon was not merely a sword. It was a relic containing another relic, designed to combine military strength with sacred authority. French kings later used Joyeux during coronations, turning the weapon into a symbol that linked each new ruler with Charlemagne's power. The surviving sword contains pieces from different periods, which has led many to call it a ceremonial reconstruction. Yet that may have been intentional. Sacred weapons were often repaired without losing their identity. The original core could remain inside newer material while outsiders focused on the visible changes. Some people wonder whether the sword's real importance lies in something concealed within it. If a fragment of the Holy Lance was ever placed inside Joyeuse, every French coronation may have involved a hidden object believed capable of deciding the fate of kingdoms. The Black Stone of Mecca has an uncertain and mysterious origin. The black stone is set into the corner of the Kaaba and has been honored by pilgrims for centuries. Islamic tradition says it came from paradise and was once white before absorbing the sins of humanity. Its visible surface consists of dark fragments held together inside a silver frame. The stone has survived fire, damage, and a dramatic theft that lasted more than 20 years. Yet nobody has conclusively established what material it is made from. Suggestions include ordinary rock, glass, or a meteorite that fell from the sky. That last possibility has attracted intense speculation because ancient cultures often treated meteorites as messages from another realm. A stone arriving in fire from above could easily become sacred. More unusual theories suggest that its fragmented condition hides an object unlike anything found naturally on Earth. Scientific access is unlikely because the stone's religious importance makes invasive testing impossible. Its true composition, therefore, remains protected by faith, history, and one of the world's most guarded sacred spaces. St. Januarius's preserved blood appears to liquefy during public ceremonies. Inside sealed glass ampoules in Naples rests a dark substance believed to be the blood of St. Januarius. Several times each year, the containers are displayed before a waiting crowd. Sometimes the solid mass begins to move and becomes liquid. The change can happen quickly or take hours. On rare occasions, it does not happen at all. Local tradition treats failure as a warning of disaster. Skeptics have produced substances that can liquefy when shaken or warmed, but nobody has proven that the ampoules contain such a mixture. The Church has not allowed them to be opened. That means every explanation remains incomplete. Some people believe the blood responds to movement, temperature, or hidden preparation. Others suspect that the relic reacts to collective emotion inside the cathedral. The most unsettling reports claim that its volume seems to change during the process. If those observations are accurate, the phenomenon may involve more than a clever medieval recipe. The answer remains trapped inside glass nobody is permitted to break. Buddha's tooth became powerful enough to influence kingdoms and wars. A single tooth, believed to belong to the Buddha, became one of the most politically powerful objects in Asian history. Tradition says it was recovered from his funeral pyre and later carried to Sri Lanka inside the hair of a princess. Whoever controlled the tooth could claim the right to rule the island. Kings moved capitals to protect it. Invaders tried to seize it. The Portuguese once announced that they had captured and destroyed the relic, but local tradition says they were tricked into burning a copy. That raises the possibility that decoy teeth existed long before modern doubts appeared. The object seen during ceremonies remains enclosed inside several golden containers and is rarely shown directly. Nobody outside its guardians can confirm what lies at the center. Yet rulers acted as though losing it meant losing the kingdom itself. Perhaps the tooth was merely a symbol. Or perhaps its keepers knew that the true relic carried something far more important than physical remains, such as hidden knowledge passed through its guardians. The bones of the Magi supposedly traveled from Persia to Germany. The visitors who came to see the infant Jesus were never named in the Bible, and the text does not say there were 3 of them. Yet centuries later, they became kings called Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar. Their supposed bones eventually appeared in Milan before being taken to Cologne by Emperor Frederick Barbarossa. A vast golden shrine was built to hold them. The arrival of these relics transformed Cologne into one of the greatest pilgrimage centers in Europe. The mystery is how anyone could have identified the remains of men whose names and number came from later tradition. Some people suspect that the bones belonged to powerful Eastern priests whose real identities were deliberately hidden. Their connection with stars and prophecy may point toward an older religious order that early Christians absorbed into the nativity story. If so, the shrine may contain the remains of individuals who knew far more about astronomy and ancient belief than official history admits. The legend may be concealing who they truly were. A sacred cup in Valencia may predate many famous Grail legends. Valencia Cathedral preserves a small agate cup that may be far older than the medieval stories of the Holy Grail. Its upper bowl was made in the ancient Middle East, while the elaborate base and handles were added later. Supporters believe the original cup could have been used at the Last Supper before traveling from Jerusalem to Rome and eventually reaching Spain. The trail is incomplete, but that may be exactly what we should expect from an object hidden during persecution and war. Unlike the glittering grails of later art, the Valencia cup looks simple enough to have been used at an ordinary meal. That plain appearance gives the claim an unsettling credibility. Some people believe the Grail legends were created to disguise the cup's real location. By filling Europe with fictional castles and magical vessels, guardians could direct attention everywhere except toward the genuine object. If that theory is correct, the greatest relic hunt in history may have ended centuries ago without anyone noticing. The Veil of Veronica supposedly captured Christ's face without human painting. The story says that Veronica wiped the face of Jesus while he carried the cross. When she pulled the cloth away, his image had appeared without paint. A relic believed to be that veil later became one of Rome's greatest treasures, but its fate is uncertain. Medieval witnesses described a faint face that seemed difficult to view directly. Over time, public display became rare, and some people suspect the original cloth disappeared. Another image, preserved in the Italian town of Manapello, has been proposed as the missing veil. It is nearly transparent and shows a face from both sides. Supporters claim ordinary paint cannot explain its appearance. More daring theories connected with the Turin Shroud, suggesting both images were created during the same unexplained event. Perhaps one cloth touched the face while another covered the body. If so, the two relics may preserve separate traces of a process that science still cannot reproduce. The missing veil may be evidence of something that happened only once. John the Baptist's head is claimed by several distant religious sites. John the Baptist was executed by beheading, but the story of his head became even stranger after his death. Traditions say it was hidden, rediscovered, lost, and found again several times. Today, different sites claim to possess all or part of it. A shrine in Damascus honors John inside a great mosque. Amiens Cathedral displays a skull fragment brought from Constantinople. Other claims have appeared across Europe. The usual explanation is confusion or fraud, but the repeated discoveries may point toward deliberate division. Perhaps the head was separated into fragments and moved through secret routes to prevent its destruction. Another possibility is even more unusual. Some traditions speak of several separate discoveries because the relic was hidden behind decoys. Invaders may have taken false remains while guardians protected the original. Modern testing of bones linked with John has produced intriguing dates, but no result can prove identity. Somewhere among the competing claims, one relic may be genuine. The confusion could be exactly what kept it safe. Medieval rulers collected relics to strengthen their authority over entire nations. A king with the right relic could claim that heaven itself supported his throne. That made sacred objects more valuable than gold. Royal courts displayed bones, garments, and fragments during coronations because the message was unmistakable. The ruler was not merely powerful. He had been chosen. Some monarchs built entire chapels around a single object and allowed only carefully controlled access. Others carried relics into negotiations, rebellions, and battles where public belief mattered as much as military strength. The darker possibility is that certain royal relics were given famous identities at the exact moment a dynasty needed legitimacy. An unknown bone could become the remains of a saint. An old weapon could become the property of a biblical hero. Once the story was accepted, challenging the relic meant challenging the king. Perhaps rulers did not collect these objects because they believed in them. Perhaps they understood that whoever controlled the relic also controlled the story people were willing to obey. Some reliquaries contain objects never scientifically examined by independent experts. Behind gold, crystal, and locked cathedral doors sit relics that millions accept without anyone being allowed to test them properly. Some have remained sealed for centuries. Others are displayed from a distance while their containers prevent any close inspection. Official guardians often argue that opening them would cause damage or disrespect. That may be true. Yet secrecy also protects every possibility. The object could be exactly what tradition claims. It could be a medieval substitute. It could even contain something far stranger than expected. A fragment might prove older than the religion surrounding it. A bone might belong to someone from an impossible place. A cloth might carry material that does not fit its recorded history. Some people believe institutions avoid testing because the results could destroy a powerful tradition. Others think the real concern is the opposite. What if an examination confirmed something so extraordinary, but public access could no longer be controlled? Until those containers are opened, uncertainty remains part of the relic's power. The Iron Crown of Lombardy supposedly contains a nail from the crucifixion. The Iron Crown looks small, but it has rested on the heads of kings, emperors, and conquerors. Tradition says a narrow band inside it was made from one of the nails used at the crucifixion. That would turn the crown into more than royal jewelry. It would mean every ruler who wore it placed a relic of Christ directly above his own head. Napoleon understood the symbolism. During his coronation, he reportedly crowned himself and declared that God had given it to him. Modern examinations suggested that the inner band may be silver rather than iron. To many people, that settled the question. Yet others noticed something strange. If the famous iron band was never iron, why did the story survive for so long? Perhaps the crown was repaired and the original strip removed. Perhaps a smaller fragment remains hidden inside another section. Or perhaps the name was never about the metal. It may have described the terrifying authority people believed the crown carried. Ancient churches sometimes built secret chambers specifically to hide sacred treasures. A church could be searched from roof to crypt and still keep its greatest secret behind a wall nobody recognized. During invasions, builders created hidden cavities beneath altars, inside pillars, and under stone floors. Relics could disappear within minutes and remain untouched for centuries. Many of these hiding places were known to only a few people. If those guardians died during war, the location vanished with them. Renovations have occasionally revealed sealed boxes and forgotten bones where no official record predicted them. That means countless chambers may still exist. The most compelling theory is that some were designed to hide more than valuables. A relic connected with forbidden teaching could be sealed away rather than destroyed. An object that threatened religious authority might be safer inside the church than outside it, hidden where future generations would never think to look. Old buildings often contain blocked passages dismissed as ordinary construction. One of them may lead to a room whose contents were deliberately removed from history. The Sudarium of Oviedo may connect mysteriously with the Turin Shroud. The Sudarium is a blood-stained cloth with no visible face and no dramatic body image. At first, it seems less mysterious than the Shroud of Turin, yet its stains may tell a connected story. Tradition says the cloth covered the face of Jesus shortly after death, before the body was wrapped in a larger burial cloth. Some examinations have found patterns that appear consistent with the wounds shown on the shroud. The blood type has also been reported as similar. More importantly, the Sudarium has a separate history in Spain that may reach back before the shroud appeared in France. If both cloths touched the same person, then two relics traveled through different countries while preserving related evidence. That would be extremely difficult for a medieval forger to arrange. Skeptics say stain patterns can be interpreted too freely. Supporters believe the agreement is too close to ignore. The strangest possibility is that the two cloths preserve different stages of one event that nobody expected would ever be reconstructed. Knights Templar legends repeatedly point toward missing relics and underground vaults. The Templars built their headquarters on one of the most sensitive locations in the ancient world. Beneath them lay the remains of the temple complex in Jerusalem. Official history says they protected pilgrims. Legend says they were digging. What they may have found has been debated for centuries. Some stories describe sacred vessels. Others speak of documents that challenged accepted beliefs. The order then became astonishingly wealthy. and gained privileges that placed it beyond many kings. That rise has always seemed too fast for people drawn to hidden history. When the Templars were arrested, their legendary treasure was nowhere to be found. Ships disappeared from a French harbor. Records vanished. Surviving members may have escaped through Portugal or Scotland. Former Templar sites still contain sealed passages and unexplored chambers. Each one raises the same possibility. Perhaps the Order's greatest discovery was never captured because it had already been moved. If their guardianship continued in secret, the relic may still be traveling through a network that officially ceased to exist. Certain relics were believed to protect cities from invasion and disease. When armies surrounded a city, defenders sometimes carried a sacred object along the walls. When disease spread, the same relic might be taken through the streets as crowds watched from windows. These processions were not symbolic to the people involved. They believed the object could change events. Stories describe storms appearing at critical moments and enemy forces retreating without explanation. Modern readers may see coincidence, morale, or later exaggeration. Yet entire communities built their identity around the belief that one relic had repeatedly saved them. Rival cities sometimes tried to steal these objects because protection was thought to move with possession. That creates a remarkable question. Could intense collective belief produce effects that individuals cannot create alone? Some people think a relic acted like a focus, concentrating the fear and hope of thousands into one place. Others suspect certain objects carried properties nobody understood. If a city survived against impossible odds, perhaps the relic was not merely present. Perhaps it was doing exactly what everyone believed it could. The bones of St. Peter may rest beneath the Vatican itself. Deep beneath St. Peter's Basilica lies an ancient burial ground hidden for centuries beneath the center of Catholic power. Excavations uncovered a tomb near the location long associated with Peter. Graffiti nearby appeared to refer to the apostle. Bones were also found inside a wall after having been moved from their original resting place. Later study suggested they belonged to an older man from the 1st century. That was enough to create one of the most explosive possibilities in Christian archaeology. The Vatican may have been built directly above the remains of its first leader, yet the chain of evidence is incomplete. The bones were disturbed, relocated, and mixed with uncertainty. Some people believe officials recognized their importance long before the public announcement. Others wonder whether additional tests produced results that were never released. If the remains are genuine, they would connect a modern institution with a man executed nearly 2,000 years ago. If they are not, then someone carefully placed them where future generations would expect Peter to be. A hidden monastery supposedly guards relics too dangerous for public display. Across Europe and Asia, stories persist about remote monasteries containing objects that ordinary people are never allowed to see. These are not merely valuable relics. They're described as dangerous. Some are said to contradict accepted history. Others supposedly produce visions, illness, or changes in those who approach them. The guardians do not display these objects because their purpose is not worship. Their purpose is containment. No confound institution admits to such a collection, but real monasteries have preserved private libraries and sealed treasuries for centuries. Access can depend on rank, tradition, and permission that outsiders will never receive. That makes the legend impossible to prove and equally difficult to dismiss. Perhaps the stories grew from ordinary secrecy, or perhaps they were warnings. A relic may reveal that a famous event happened differently from the accepted account. Another could preserve technology mistaken for magic. If such objects existed, a remote monastery would be the perfect place to hide them. Isolation would not be a weakness. It would be the security system. Napoleon searched ancient lands, while rumors linked him to sacred treasures. Napoleon's invasion of Egypt brought soldiers, scholars, engineers, and artists into a civilization Europe barely understood. Officially, the expedition served military and political goals. Yet rumors claimed Napoleon was searching for something older than empire. He entered ancient sites, studied strange traditions, and reportedly spent time alone inside the Great Pyramid. What happened there remains uncertain. Later stories say he emerged pale and refused to explain what he had experienced. Some people believe the expedition was partly a hunt for relics connected with lost knowledge. Egypt was associated with alchemy, prophecy, and the origins of sacred power. Napoleon may have thought an ancient object could strengthen his destiny or reveal how earlier rulers controlled nations. His campaigns later carried him toward lands linked with biblical treasures. Nothing extraordinary was publicly recovered. That may mean the rumors were false. It may also mean the most important discovery never entered an official inventory. A conqueror who understood propaganda would have known that some objects were more useful when nobody knew he possessed them. The Emerald Tablet became associated with alchemy, transformation, and secret knowledge. The Emerald Tablet is said to contain a short message capable of unlocking the hidden structure of reality. Its words inspired alchemists who believed nature could be transformed through knowledge concealed from ordinary people. The tablet itself has never been securely identified. Some traditions say it was found inside a tomb. Others claim it came from Hermes Trismegistus, a figure linked with Egypt and forbidden wisdom. The famous principle about patterns above and below has been interpreted as a guide to changing matter, consciousness, or both. Perhaps the tablet was not emerald at all. The name may describe a green stone, a symbolic color, or a surface made from something lost to history. Some people believe the surviving text is only a fragment of a much larger teaching. Others suspect the physical object was hidden because it described processes that looked like magic. If the original tablet ever existed, it may have been less like a religious relic and more like an instruction manual from a forgotten science. Tibetan relics called ringsals allegedly appear after the cremation of holy teachers. After certain Tibetan teachers are cremated, small pearl-like objects are sometimes discovered among the ashes. These relics are called ringsals. Devotees believe they form through spiritual accomplishment and may increase in number when treated with respect. Some are said to appear where none was seen before. They can be tiny, smooth, and brightly colored. Ordinary cremation can produce bone fragments and mineral deposits, but supporters insist that ringsals are different in appearance and behavior. The most mysterious claims involve relics multiplying inside sealed containers. If true, that would challenge every normal explanation. Skeptics suggest hidden additions, misidentification, or natural crystallization. Yet the tradition extends across generations and is taken seriously by communities that preserve the objects carefully. Some people believe intense meditation changes the body at a level science has not examined. Others think the relics form through unknown interactions during cremation. If consciousness can leave a physical trace, ringsals may be one of the strangest forms that trace has ever taken. Some ancient statues contain concealed objects placed inside during sacred rituals. Many statues were never meant to be empty. Hidden inside them are scrolls, seeds, bones, precious stones, and objects placed during ceremonies of activation. In some traditions, a statue was not considered complete until something sacred had been sealed within it. The outer figure was only the visible shell. The real power rested inside. Modern scans have revealed cavities in statues that nobody knew existed. Some contain bundles arranged with extraordinary care. Others hold items whose purpose has been forgotten. This has encouraged speculation that certain statues may hide objects more important than the sculpture itself. A seemingly ordinary figure could contain a relic removed from a destroyed temple or a fragment of forbidden writing. Guardians may have used statues as portable vaults because invaders would admire the surface while overlooking the contents. Even museum curators may be unaware of what some pieces contain. The most valuable relic in a collection could be hidden inside another object and protected by the assumption that every statue is solid. The hand of Saint Teresa remained remarkably preserved after her death. When the body of Saint Teresa of Avila was examined years after burial, parts of it were reported to be unusually well preserved. Her left hand became one of the most famous relics. It passed through religious institutions and later entered the possession of General Francisco Franco, who kept it near him for years. That connection transformed the relic from a sacred object into a symbol of political power. Franco reportedly believed the hand offered protection and guidance. After his death, it was returned to the church. The preservation itself has never stopped attracting attention. Natural conditions can slow decay, yet believers saw something more. They believed holiness had changed the body. The political history adds a darker layer. Why would a ruler keep a saint's hand closed during dictatorship and war? Perhaps he treated it as a private source of legitimacy. Perhaps he feared losing whatever protection he believed it provided. The Relics journey suggests that even in modern times, powerful people may quietly trust objects they would never publicly describe as magical. Jerusalem's temple treasures may still lie buried beneath the ancient city. When the temple was destroyed, many of its sacred objects disappeared from history. Some were carried away by conquerors. Others may have been hidden before the city fell. Ancient accounts mention vessels, instruments, and treasures used in ceremonies that no longer exist. The most famous image of Roman soldiers carrying a menorah proves that at least part of the collection left Jerusalem. Yet nobody knows what happened to everything else. Underground chambers beneath the old city remain politically and religiously sensitive. Many cannot be explored freely. That has allowed theories of sealed vaults to survive. Some people believe priests created escape tunnels and hid the most important objects beyond the reach of invading armies. Others suspect later rulers discovered them and kept the find secret. A genuine temple relic would carry enormous religious and political consequences. Revealing it could trigger claims from several groups at once. If the treasures remain beneath Jerusalem, the greatest obstacle to finding them may not be archaeology. It may be the danger of what their discovery would mean. Sacred footprints appear across cultures and are attributed to divine visitors. Across the world, stones bear impressions said to have been left by gods, prophets, saints, and enlightened teachers. Some resemble human feet with astonishing clarity. Others are far larger than any normal person could produce. Local traditions insist that the marks appeared when a sacred figure stepped on solid rock. Mainstream explanations include carving, erosion, and natural shapes later interpreted as footprints. Yet certain examples have been honored for so long that their original makers are unknown. The mystery deepens when similar traditions appear in distant cultures. Why did so many people believe that divine beings left physical tracks behind? Perhaps the marks were created to claim a sacred location. Perhaps they preserved memories of unusual visitors whose size or power inspired legend. Some people suggest the stone was once softer due to unknown geological conditions. Others believe the footprint represents a moment when ordinary physical rules briefly changed. Whatever the cause, these relics turn an abstract story into something disturbingly direct. Someone, or something, appears to have stood there. The holy sponge became a prized relic despite its uncertain history. The crucifixion story includes a sponge lifted toward Jesus on a reed. Centuries later, several churches claimed to possess all or part of that object. A common sponge should have decayed quickly, especially after passing through war and travel. Yet fragments associated with it became royal treasures. That alone raises questions about what people were actually preserving. Perhaps the relic was replaced repeatedly while its identity continued unchanged. Perhaps a durable object was later described as a sponge because the original term had been misunderstood. Some traditions place the relic in Constantinople before parts of it moved west. The city held an enormous collection of passion objects, many of which scattered after conquest. That chaos created opportunities for theft, substitution, and reinvention. Still, believers treated the sponge as a direct witness to the final moments of Jesus. The strangest possibility is that its material absorbed something considered sacred or powerful. If so, the relic's value may have depended less on what it was and more on what people believed remained inside it. Viking objects were sometimes treated as magical relics by later generations. A sword, amulet, or burial object from the Viking world could gather a second life centuries after its maker died. Later, communities sometimes believed these objects belonged to legendary heroes or carried supernatural strength. Unusual blades were especially powerful symbols. Some contained metal produced through methods that seemed impossible for the period. Their markings and exceptional quality led people to think they had been forged with secret knowledge. Objects found in ancient graves were also feared because disturbing them was believed to awaken curses. In some regions, old weapons were placed in churches or royal collections where their pagan origins were given new meaning. This raises the possibility that certain Christian relics began as much older objects with different identities. A sacred sword could once have belonged to a chieftain. A mysterious stone might have been part of a forgotten ritual. As stories changed, the object survived while its original purpose disappeared. What later generations called holy may have been the remains of a belief system they had tried to erase. Joan of Arc's supposed remains were exposed as an elaborate historical mistake. For years, a jar in France was believed to contain remains recovered from the burning of Joan of Arc. Inside were dark fragments, cloth, and what appeared to be human material. The relic seemed to offer physical evidence from one of history's most famous executions. Modern testing revealed something completely different. The contents included material connected with an Egyptian mummy and other remains that had nothing to do with Joan. That discovery should have ended the story. Instead, it opened a stranger question. Who assembled the fake relic, and why choose ancient Egyptian material? A mummy would have carried an aura of age and mystery that could fool observers before scientific testing existed. The deception may have been created for profit or devotion. Yet some people suspect it served another purpose. If genuine remains had survived, a convincing false relic put direct attention away from them. Joan's execution already contains disputed details and legends of escape. The exposed forgery proves that someone once wanted people to believe they had found her body. Several ancient relics disappeared after being taken by conquering armies. Conquerors understood that stealing a sacred object could break a defeated people more completely than destroying their walls. Relics were carried away as trophies because they represented the favor of gods and ancestors. Yet many vanished after reaching the victor's capital. Some disappeared during later invasions. Others were hidden when regimes changed. A captured object might also be renamed and absorbed into the conqueror's own religion. That means famous relics could survive under identities that no longer reveal where they came from. An ancient statue may stand in a museum with the wrong origin. A ceremonial vessel could be locked inside a treasury and described as something created centuries later. The possibility becomes even more intriguing when records mention objects that match later relics in size or material. Some people believe conquerors did not merely steal sacred treasures. They rewrote them. By changing the story, they erased the defeated culture while keeping its power. A relic thought lost forever may still exist, disguised by the history of the people who took it. The Mandilion may have inspired later stories about miraculous holy images. The Mandilion was said to be a cloth bearing the face of Jesus without the use of paint. According to legend, it came from the city of Edessa and possessed protective power. The image later moved to Constantinople, where it became one of the empire's most important relics. Then, it disappeared during the chaos of the Fourth Crusade. Some people believe the Mandilion and the Shroud of Turin were the same object folded so that only the face could be seen. If true, the shroud's missing history may have been hidden beneath a different name. Ancient descriptions sometimes call the Mandilion a cloth folded into several layers. That detail has kept the theory alive. Another possibility is that it inspired copies and competing traditions after its disappearance. The original image may have vanished while its legend spread across Europe. If the Mandilion survives, it could be sitting in a collection under another identity. The mystery is not only what the image showed, it is whether the world has already seen it without recognizing it. A preserved tongue became the strangest surviving relic of St. Anthony. When the body of St. Anthony of Padua was examined decades after his death, most of it had decayed. His tongue, however, was reported to remain remarkably intact. Church leaders saw this as a sign because Anthony had been famous for preaching. The organ was placed inside an elaborate reliquary and remains on display. Natural preservation can produce surprising results, yet the symbolism made the discovery seem almost designed. The part of his body most connected with speech was the part that survived. Some people believe intense use or spiritual devotion changed the tissue in an unknown way. Others suspect the tongue was treated or replaced before anyone recorded the examination carefully. The relic also raises an uncomfortable question about identity. After centuries of transfers and ceremonies, how certain can anyone be that the object truly came from Anthony? Supporters answer that the chain of custody was protected. Skeptics remain unconvinced. Either way, the tongue has become more famous than the rest of his remains, almost as though the relic itself chose what story would survive. Royal families once carried relics into battle as supernatural protection. Before a battle began, a ruler might place a sacred fragment inside his armor or order a priest to carry it near the royal standard. The relic was expected to protect the monarch and terrify enemies who believed heaven had chosen the opposing side. Some armies marched behind pieces of saints, holy wood, or objects linked with legendary warriors. Victory strengthened the relic's reputation. Defeat created darker explanations. Perhaps the ruler had sinned. Perhaps the object had been stolen or replaced. In extreme cases, losing the relic could be treated as more disastrous than losing territory. Some people believe these objects gave commanders psychological confidence that changed their decisions. Yet old chronicles sometimes describe impossible survivals and sudden reversals linked with their presence. A weapon misses. A horse refuses to move. A storm breaks at exactly the right moment. Such accounts may be propaganda, but they reveal how seriously royal families took the risk. The most powerful people in Europe often behaved as though battle depended on an object hidden beneath their clothing. The bones of St. Nicholas became the center of an international dispute. St. Nicholas died in the ancient city of Myra, but most of his remains later appeared in Bari, Italy. Savers from Bari claimed they rescued the bones from danger. Others described the event more plainly as theft. The men entered the tomb, removed the skeleton, and carried it across the sea. Venice later claimed additional bones from the same burial place. This created two major collections linked to one saint. Modern examination suggested that the remains could come from the same individual, though certainty remains impossible. The story becomes stranger because the bones produce a clear liquid known as manna. Clergy collect from the tomb in Bari during an annual ceremony. Believers associate the substance with healing. Skeptics suggest condensation or groundwater. Yet the tomb has been altered many times, and the exact process remains disputed. If the bones were divided between rival cities, each may hold only part of the original relic. Another collection could still exist elsewhere, removed before either expedition reached the tomb. Ancient Egyptian objects were sometimes reused as relics by later religions. When older temples fell into ruin, their sacred objects did not always disappear. Some were carried into new places of worship and given new identities. A carved stone linked with an Egyptian god could become associated with a saint. An amulet might be sealed inside a Christian reliquary after its original meaning was forgotten. This was practical because ancient objects already felt powerful. Their age and unfamiliar symbols created an atmosphere that later communities could reinterpret. Some people believe the reuse was not accidental. Religious leaders may have understood that certain Egyptian objects attracted devotion and chose to absorb them rather than destroy them. That could explain why relic traditions sometimes contain imagery that does not fit their official story. The most daring theory suggests that knowledge also survived this way. A ritual object might preserve measurements, materials, or designs connected with ancient science. By renaming it, guardians could protect it through centuries of religious change. A relic believed to be medieval may actually be carrying something from a far older world. The stone of Scone may have been secretly replaced centuries ago. The stone of Scone was used in the coronation of Scottish kings before being taken to England. It later sat beneath the coronation chair at Westminster and became part of British royal ceremony. Yet doubts have long surrounded the stone itself. Some traditions say Scottish monks replaced the original before English forces arrived. The captured block may have been an ordinary local stone offered as a decoy. The genuine object could have remained hidden in Scotland. Supporters of the theory point to descriptions that do not match the surviving stone. Legends also connect the original with biblical patriarchs and ancient royal lines, though those claims cannot be proved. In the 20th century, Scottish students removed the stone from Westminster and later returned it. That episode created another opportunity for substitution. Some people believe several copies now exist and that nobody knows which is authentic. If the true stone was hidden centuries ago, every later coronation may have used a replacement, while the object of real significance remained somewhere else. A mysterious sword embedded in stone still stands inside an Italian chapel. In a chapel at Montesipi, a medieval sword appears buried deep inside a stone. Tradition says it belonged to Galgano Guidati, a violent knight who abandoned his former life. When told to renounce warfare, he supposedly drove the sword into solid rock to form a cross. The weapon remains there today beneath protective glass. Tests suggest the metal could date from the correct medieval period. That makes the legend harder to dismiss as a recent invention. Skeptics propose that the stone contains a crack or hidden cavity. Yet the blade appears firmly embedded, and removing it would damage both relic and monument. The site also contains mummified arms connected with another legend about thieves who tried to steal the sword. Some people suspect the object inspired later stories of swords in stones, including the legend of King Arthur. If so, one of Europe's most famous myths may have grown from a real weapon, still standing where it was placed hundreds of years ago. The holy prepuce became one of medieval Christianity's most controversial relics. Medieval churches claimed to possess the foreskin removed during the circumcision of Jesus. Because Christian belief says his body ascended into heaven, This small fragment was treated as one of the few physical remains that could still exist on Earth. Several towns claimed the relic, which created an obvious problem. Competing versions appeared across Europe, each supported by local tradition. The most famous was kept in Calcutta, Italy, where it was displayed during an annual procession. Then, in the 20th century, it disappeared from the home of a priest. No convincing explanation followed. Some believe it was stolen by thieves. Others suspect church authorities wanted the embarrassing relic removed from public attention. The disappearance may have solved a theological problem while creating a mystery. If the Calcutta object still exists, someone has kept it hidden for decades. Perhaps it was destroyed. Perhaps it entered a private collection. Or perhaps the relic remains where it vanished, protected by people who believe the world is no longer prepared to see it. Some saints' bodies resisted decay according to generations of devoted witnesses. When certain saints were exhumed years after death, witnesses claimed their bodies remained soft, recognizable, and strangely preserved. These individuals became known as incorruptibles. Some were displayed in churches where pilgrims could see faces that appeared untouched by ordinary decay. Natural explanations include dry conditions, sealed coffins, and deliberate preservation. In several cases, later restoration also improved the body's appearance. Yet not every report fits easily into one explanation. Witnesses sometimes described a pleasant scent or flexible limbs long after burial. Devotees saw incorruption as proof that holiness had altered the physical body. More speculative ideas suggest intense prayer changed cellular processes before death. Others believe unknown substances used in religious rituals slowed decomposition. The most controversial possibility is that some bodies were quietly replaced with wax figures, while genuine remains were hidden. That would preserve devotion while protecting the relic itself. Whether miraculous, natural, or carefully managed, these bodies forced generations to confront a disturbing thought. Perhaps decay does not always follow the rules we expect. The staff of Moses has been claimed by more than one tradition. The staff of Moses was said to become a serpent, divide the sea, and bring water from stone. An object with that history would be one of the most powerful relics imaginable. Several traditions claim that it survived. One version is associated with the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, where a wooden staff is preserved among sacred treasures. Other stories place it in different regions or connected with later prophets. The competing claims may reflect ordinary legend, but they also raise the possibility of deliberate copies. A genuine staff would attract rulers, thieves, and armies. Creating several convincing versions could protect the original. Some people believe the object was not an ordinary walking stick. Its repeated connection with dramatic physical effects has inspired theories about hidden technology or a device misunderstood by ancient witnesses. The shape of a staff may have concealed metal, crystals, or another mechanism. If the real object still exists, it could appear completely ordinary. Its greatest protection may be that nobody expects a world-changing relic to look like a piece of wood. Ancient relics often traveled farther than the people who originally owned them. A bone from one country could end up inside a cathedral thousands of miles away. A sacred cloth might pass through merchants, soldiers, monks, and royal courts before anyone recorded its journey. Each transfer added another layer to the story. Sometimes the relic was given as a gift. Sometimes it was stolen during war. In other cases, nobody admitted how it had arrived. This movement created opportunities for substitution and reinvention. An object could leave one city with one identity and appear elsewhere under a completely different name. That may explain why certain relics have histories filled with impossible gaps. Some people believe these gaps hide organized routes used by secret guardians. Important objects may have been moved repeatedly, so no ruler could control them for long. If the real history were revealed, a famous relic might belong to an entirely different culture. Its journey could expose forgotten alliances and hidden conflicts that never entered official records. The chains of St. Peter are said to have fused miraculously together. According to tradition, Peter was imprisoned twice and bound with different sets of chains. One set was kept in Jerusalem. The other was preserved in Rome. When the two were eventually brought together, they supposedly joined on their own and became a single, unbroken chain. That story transformed ordinary prison iron into evidence of divine design. The relic remains in the Church of San Pietro in Vincoli, where visitors can still see it. Skeptics assume the pieces were joined by human hands. Yet the legend insists the connection happened instantly and without tools. Some people wonder whether the chains were made from an unusual metal that reacted when brought into contact. Others suspect the story concealed a coded message. Two relics from different prisons becoming one could symbolize a hidden link between Jerusalem and Rome. If the event was staged, it was extraordinarily effective. The fused chain became a physical argument that Peter's authority had traveled west and had never been broken. A cloak attributed to Muhammad became a symbol of political legitimacy. The mantle known as the burda was believed to have belonged to Muhammad and later passed into the hands of rulers. Possessing it meant far more than owning a sacred garment. It allowed a leader to present himself as the guardian of the prophet's memory. The cloak was carried through courts and protected inside royal treasuries. At times, it was displayed during moments of crisis when political authority needed sacred support. The Ottoman sultans understood its power. A ruler who controlled the relic could claim a direct connection with the earliest days of Islam. Yet the cloak's long journey leaves room for questions. Could the garment have been replaced during war or transport? Were several versions created to protect the original? Some people suspect that the true relic was hidden while ceremonial copies appeared in public. If so, the garment used to legitimize empires may have been a decoy. The real cloak could still rest inside a collection whose keepers never reveal what they possess. Sacred mirrors in Japan remain hidden from nearly everyone who worships them. Japan's most important imperial relics include a mirror said to be connected with the sun goddess Amaterasu. The object is kept at the eye's grand shrine and is not shown to the public. Even emperors may not see it directly. Its power comes partly from that complete invisibility. Worshippers honor something they are forbidden to inspect. Tradition says the mirror helped draw Amaterasu from a cave and restore light to the world. Later, it became part of the sacred regalia, proving the emperor's divine ancestry. Yet nobody outside a tiny circle can confirm its appearance or condition. Fires and wars have damaged the shrine complex more than once. That has led to rumors that the original mirror was lost and replaced. Others believe several mirrors exist, with only one being genuine. The secrecy prevents every theory from being tested. If the relic survives, it may be one of the oldest symbols of political power still guarded from human sight. The bones of apostles may have been deliberately scattered across continents. Relics linked with the apostles appear in cities separated by enormous distances. A skull may be claimed in one country while an arm or foot rests elsewhere. This is usually explained through division and distribution. Yet the pattern may have served a deeper purpose. Scattering the remains prevented any single church or ruler from controlling the entire body. It also created a network of sacred sites connected by one person. Pilgrims moved between them and carried stories across borders. Some people believe the fragments were distributed according to a hidden plan. Each location may have reflected an ancient route or protected a region considered spiritually important. The body itself became a map. If that idea is correct, the placement of relics could reveal forgotten centers of early Christianity. Another possibility is that the bones were separated to protect them from destruction. Even if enemies found one fragment, the rest would survive. The apostles may have continued traveling long after death through a system designed to outlast empires. Some relics gained fame only after dreams revealed their supposed locations. A forgotten grave or buried object could suddenly become important after someone claimed to see it in a dream. The dreamer might describe a specific field, wall, or ruined church. When digging began, bones or sacred objects were sometimes found. To believers, this proved that the relic itself had chosen to be discovered. To skeptics, the dream may have hidden prior knowledge. Someone could have known the location, but needed a supernatural story to make the discovery acceptable. Yet certain accounts include details the dreamer supposedly could not have known. The same figure might appear repeatedly until the search was completed. Some people believe intense memory can survive around an object and enter the minds of those nearby. Others suspect dreams were used as coded instructions within secret communities. A guardian could reveal a location without exposing the human chain that protected it. In that sense, the dream was not a miracle or deception. It was the final stage of an ancient security system. The girdle of Mary is claimed by churches in different countries. Several religious sites claim to possess the belt worn by Mary, and each tradition tells a different story about how it survived. One version says she gave it to the Apostle Thomas as proof of her ascent into heaven. Other accounts trace it through Constantinople before fragments reached Europe and the Middle East. The competing relics may seem like obvious copies, but belts can be divided more easily than bones or vessels. A single woven object could produce many pieces. The greater mystery is whether every fragment came from the same source. Some people think the girdle became a sacred symbol long before the surviving cloths appeared. Later communities may have attached that identity to older textiles with unusual origins. Another theory suggests the genuine relic was deliberately separated so no empire could claim complete ownership. Each church would hold enough to continue the tradition, but not enough to control it. The divided belt may therefore represent a relic designed to survive through distribution rather than secrecy. A stone pillow linked to Jacob became part of royal legend. Biblical tradition describes Jacob sleeping on a stone before dreaming of a ladder reaching heaven. Later legends claimed that this same stone traveled far from the ancient Near East and became connected with kingship in the British Isles. Some traditions identify it with the Stone of Scorn. Others say it reached Ireland first and was used in royal ceremonies there. The idea sounds impossible, yet it survived because coronation stones often carried sacred meaning. A ruler seated above one could claim that his authority reached back to biblical times. Some people believe the story hid the stone's true origin. It may have been a meteorite, an ancient altar fragment, or an object from a vanished culture. The biblical identity could have been added later to make its power acceptable. If the stone really traveled through several kingdoms, its route would connect distant royal traditions in ways official history barely acknowledges. What looked like a simple block may have been treated as a portable throne of destiny. Charlemagne's tomb was opened and reportedly revealed an astonishing seated emperor. Centuries after Charlemagne's death, Emperor Otto III supposedly opened his tomb in Aachen. According to later accounts, Charlemagne was found sitting upright on a throne. He wore a crown and held a scepter. His body had not collapsed into an ordinary burial position. The scene sounds more like a hidden royal chamber than a Christian grave. Some versions say Otto removed a golden cross from the emperor's neck. Others claim he trimmed Charlemagne's nails before resealing the tomb. Historians question the details, but the story refuses to disappear. Why describe the dead ruler seated as though he were still waiting to command? Perhaps the tomb was arranged to present Charlemagne as an eternal king. More unusual theories suggest that the chamber preserved an ancient ritual of suspended authority. The emperor was not shown as dead. He was shown as absent. If the account was based on a real discovery, Otto may have entered a carefully designed relic chamber whose purpose has never been fully explained. The Holy Lance exists in several versions with competing historical claims. More than one weapon is said to be the spear that pierced Jesus during the crucifixion. Vienna has one. Armenia has another. Rome preserves a fragment, while other traditions point elsewhere. At first, the duplicates seem to prove that none can be trusted. Yet spears are made from several parts. A blade could be separated from its shaft. A later weapon might also contain a fragment of an older one. This creates enough uncertainty for several claims to survive. Some people believe the competing lances were created deliberately to hide the original. Each version attracted attention while the genuine relic remained protected. Others suspect that the spear story absorbed several ancient weapons associated with kingship and victory. The crucifixion identity may have been added after their power was already established. If that happened, the different lances are not simple fakes. They are fragments of separate traditions merged into one legend. Somewhere among them may be an object far older than the story used to explain it. Monks sometimes divided saints' bodies to satisfy powerful rulers and wealthy churches. A saint's body could become more valuable after death than anything owned during life. Kings requested bones. Bishops demanded fragments. Wealthy churches offered protection in exchange for a hand, tooth, or rib. Monks sometimes had little power to refuse. Dividing the remains allowed several institutions to claim a direct connection with the same holy figure. Yet the process could become secretive and violent. Tombs were opened at night. Bones were removed without public knowledge. Records were altered to prevent rival claims. Some people believe the division followed rules that have now been forgotten. Certain parts may have been considered more powerful because of what the saint did in life. A preacher's tongue carried one meaning. A martyr's hand carried another. The body became a coded collection of spiritual functions. The darker possibility is that rulers sought relics because they feared the dead still possessed influence. Owning part of a saint may have been a way of controlling a power they did not fully understand. Ancient relic theft became a respected religious practice in medieval Europe. Stealing a relic was not always treated as ordinary crime. If the object allowed itself to be taken, the theft could be interpreted as divine approval. Monks told stories of saints choosing new homes by helping thieves escape or punishing those who tried to stop them. This created a strange moral loophole. A church could rob another church and later claim the saint had wanted to move. The most successful thefts brought pilgrims, wealth, and prestige to the new location. That reward made sacred robbery extremely tempting. Some people believe many famous relic histories began with carefully planned operations disguised as miracles. Guards might be bribed. Documents could be forged. A substitute would be left behind. The official story then transformed theft into destiny. If another possibility remains, perhaps certain relics really did become linked with repeated accidents and unlikely escapes. If people believed an object was choosing its own path, they may have seen themselves not as criminals, but as servants carrying out instructions from the dead. The finger of Galileo became a relic despite his conflict with authority. Galileo challenged accepted ideas about the heavens and faced condemnation for doing so. Yet after his death, parts of his body were removed and preserved almost like the remains of a saint. One finger now stands upright inside a glass display in Florence. The symbolism is difficult to ignore. A man punished for pointing toward a different universe is remembered through the finger that may have pointed at the sky. Other body parts disappeared into private hands before resurfacing centuries later. This strange treatment suggests that scientific genius can create its own form of relic worship. Some people believe collectors wanted more than a souvenir. They may have thought extraordinary intelligence left something behind in the physical body. The finger became an object of admiration, warning, and perhaps quiet rebellion. It also raises a disturbing question about who had the right to remove it. Galileo spent his life resisting control over ideas. After death, even his body was divided and placed under the authority of those who decided how he should be remembered. Some sacred objects were deliberately hidden before expected invasions or disasters. When danger approached, guardians sometimes removed relics from public shrines and replaced them with ordinary objects. The genuine treasure could be buried nearby or carried along forgotten escape routes. If the city fell, invaders believed they had taken everything. The deception worked best when only one or two people knew the truth. Yet that created a new danger. If those people died, the relic remained hidden forever. Old chronicles mention objects concealed before sieges that were never officially recovered. Some people suspect later rediscoveries were staged because the original location had been lost. A substitute could restore public confidence while the real relic remained underground. The most dramatic possibility is that major disasters produced entire networks of secret caches. Earthquakes, invasions, and fires may have driven guardians to scatter objects across remote locations. These hiding places were not meant for us. They were meant for a generation expected to return soon. When that generation vanished, the relics became time capsules waiting for instructions that never came. The Ark may have been taken south before Jerusalem was conquered. One theory says the Ark escaped Jerusalem before the Babylonian army entered the city. Rather than being buried beneath the temple, it may have traveled south through Egypt and into Ethiopia. Ancient Jewish communities existed along that route, including one on the island of Elephantine. Their temples and traditions suggest movement between Jerusalem and Africa long before many people realize. Some believe priests carried the Ark away during an earlier crisis and created a chain of protected resting places. Each community knew only the next stage. This would explain how the object could disappear without leaving a clear record. The final destination may have been chosen because it stood beyond the reach of major empires. Ethiopian tradition supports a southern journey, although it tells the story differently. If the route was real, the Ark did not vanish in one dramatic moment. It slipped gradually out of history. The people moving it may have erased their own trail because survival depended on nobody knowing where it had gone. A miraculous staircase in Rome attracts pilgrims who climb only kneeling. The Scala Sancta is said to be the staircase Jesus climbed before appearing before Pontius Pilate. Tradition holds that the steps were brought from Jerusalem to Rome by Saint Helena. Pilgrims ascend them on their knees because walking normally is forbidden. The marble has been covered with wood to protect it from centuries of devotion. Small openings allow visitors to see stains believed to be blood. The claim raises enormous questions. How could an entire staircase be identified, removed, transported across the empire, and reassembled without losing its history? Some people suspect only fragments came from Jerusalem and were built into later steps. Others think the staircase replaced an older sacred route in Rome. The ritual may matter more than the material. Yet the intensity of belief has turned the steps into something physically altered by human contact. Millions of knees have worn the surface. If relics can absorb memory through repeated devotion, this staircase may now contain far more history than whatever object first arrived from Jerusalem. Relics associated with dragons appear inside several old European churches. Churches once displayed enormous bones and strange objects said to come from dragons. Some were actually whale bones, fossil remains, or parts of unfamiliar animals. Yet medieval visitors had no reason to recognize them. A massive rib hanging inside a church would seem like proof that monsters had once existed. These objects often became connected with saints who defeated dangerous creatures. The relic then supported both the legend and the authority of the church preserving it. Some people believe certain dragon stories began when ancient fossils were discovered in places where nobody understood extinction. Others think the bones were deliberately misidentified to absorb older pagan traditions. A local monster became a defeated enemy of a Christian saint. More daring theories suggest that not every specimen has been properly explained. A few relics may have disappeared before modern examination. If an unusual skeleton was once hidden or destroyed, the surviving stories could be the only evidence that something extraordinary had been found. The bones of giants were once displayed as evidence of biblical history. Across Europe, enormous bones were sometimes presented as the remains of giants who lived before the flood. Churches and royal collections displayed them as proof that ancient stories described real beings. Many were later identified as mammoth bones or fossils from large extinct animals. Yet early observers had no concept of prehistoric species. A giant human seemed like the most reasonable explanation. The discoveries helped strengthen belief in a lost world filled with creatures unlike anything alive today. Some people suspect the later fossil explanation became too convenient. They argue that unusual, human-like bones may have been mixed with animal remains and dismissed together. Reports of oversized skeletons appear in old newspapers and local records, though many are difficult to verify. The strongest evidence may have disappeared into private collections or been reburied. If even one genuine giant skeleton had been found, it would challenge accepted ideas about human history. That possibility keeps the old church displays from being dismissed as simple medieval ignorance. Sacred stones have been credited with choosing rulers and rejecting impostors. Some coronation stones were believed to respond when the rightful ruler approached. Legends say they roared, shifted, or produced signs that confirmed the chosen king. An impostor might receive silence or misfortune. These stories transformed a block of stone into an active judge of bloodline and destiny. The Lia Fail in Ireland is one famous example. Tradition says it cried out beneath the true king. Modern visitors see an ordinary standing stone, but ancient ceremonies may have involved hidden acoustic effects or priestly signals. Some people suspect the stone contained metal or crystals that reacted under pressure. Others believe the event depended on knowledge controlled by a small group. The ruler was selected first, and the stone provided public confirmation. Yet legends of responsive stones appear in more than one culture. Perhaps ancient people understood properties of vibration that later generations forgot. If a sacred stone could produce sound under precise conditions, the miracle may have been both real and carefully managed. The holy robe of Trier has survived centuries of fierce debate. Trier Cathedral claims to preserve the seamless garment worn by Jesus before the crucifixion. Tradition says Saint Helena brought it from Jerusalem. The robe has been hidden for long periods and displayed only during rare pilgrimages. Millions have traveled to see it, even though the fabric is now heavily repaired and difficult to date. Layers of preservation may conceal the original material almost completely. That creates a relic inside a relic. The object visible today may be a protective shell surrounding ancient fibers nobody can examine without causing damage. Critics argue that the history appears too late to prove authenticity. Supporters say secrecy and fragile material explain the missing records. Some people believe the robe's seamless construction carried symbolic meaning connected with unity and hidden craftsmanship. Others suspect the garment came from an older royal tradition and was later linked with Jesus. If the original cloth survives beneath the repairs, its true age and origin may remain locked inside a structure designed never to be taken apart. Certain relics were thought to ring bells when danger approached. Old legends describe bells that sounded without human hands when invasion, fire, or betrayal was near. Some were said to contain sacred metal or fragments from earlier relics. Their warnings could save an entire monastery before the threat became visible. Skeptics might explain the sounds through wind, vibration, animals, or hidden attendants. Yet the stories often insist that the bell moved inside a locked tower. Some people believe ancient builders understood how changes in pressure or ground movement affected certain metals. A bell could react before an earthquake or storm reached the area. What seemed supernatural may have been a forgotten early warning system. Another possibility is that the relic bell served as cover for a human intelligence network. A secret watcher could trigger it while preserving the appearance of divine protection. Either way, the warning was real enough to shape behavior. The bell gained authority because people survived after listening to it. A miracle and a hidden technology may have looked exactly the same. A lost menorah may have passed through Rome before disappearing completely. The Arch of Titus shows Roman soldiers carrying a great menorah taken from the temple in Jerusalem. This is one of the clearest images of a sacred relic entering enemy hands. After that, the trail becomes uncertain. Some accounts place it inside a Roman temple. Others suggest it was moved when the city was attacked. It may have traveled to Carthage, Constantinople, or somewhere else entirely. The object then vanished from reliable history. Some people believe it remains beneath Rome inside a sealed chamber. Others suspect it was melted down, though destroying such a famous trophy would have erased enormous political value. The most provocative theory says the menorah entered a secret religious collection and was never lost at all. Its discovery would create disputes over ownership and the future of sacred sites. That gives powerful institutions a reason to remain silent. If the menorah survives, it may be one of the few relics whose ancient identity could be recognized instantly by the entire world. The treasures of Solomon's temple inspired centuries of secretive treasure hunting. Legends describe Solomon's temple as a place filled with sacred vessels, royal wealth, and objects built according to divine instructions. When the temple disappeared, treasure hunters began imagining hidden chambers beneath Jerusalem and secret routes leading beyond the city. Medieval explorers searched ancient ruins. Later groups studied coded texts that supposedly revealed where the objects had been buried. Some believed the treasure included more than gold. It might contain plans, measurements, or devices connected with knowledge lost after the kingdom collapsed. The Templars became linked with this search because of their presence on the Temple Mount. Freemasonry later adopted symbols associated with Solomon's builders. This has encouraged theories that the treasure was found and divided among secret societies. Perhaps the visible wealth financed their rise. Perhaps the real discovery was information. A set of instructions could be more powerful than any golden vessel. If hunters uncovered even part of Solomon's hidden archive, the greatest treasure may never have looked like treasure at all. Saint Catherine's body allegedly disappeared before angels moved it to Sinai. Tradition says Saint Catherine was executed in Alexandria after challenging a pagan emperor. Her body then vanished. According to legend, angels carried it across the desert and placed it on Mount Sinai. Monks later discovered the remains and built a monastery near the site. The story turns an impossible journey into the central mystery of one of Christianity's oldest communities. Some people think secret followers removed the body before authorities could destroy it. The language of angels may have protected the identities of those who carried out the rescue. Others believe the body belonged to an earlier sacred woman whose history was absorbed into Catherine's legend. The remote mountain location would have made verification nearly impossible. Yet relics associated with her attracted devotion for centuries. If human guardians moved the remains, they completed a dangerous operation across hostile territory. If the story is literal, then the relic reached Sinai by means that cannot be explained. Either version suggests somebody wanted the body far beyond the reach of ordinary power. Ancient meteorites may have become sacred relics without people knowing their origins. A stone falling from the sky would have seemed like a direct message from another world. Ancient communities often preserved unusual black stones and metal fragments inside temples. Without modern astronomy, they may not have understood that these objects came from space. The relic's strange weight or composition could make it appear alive with power. Some meteorites contain nickel and iron that ancient craftsmen could shape long before local smelting became advanced. A blade made from sky metal would seem impossible to reproduce. This may explain why certain relics were credited with divine origins. Some people believe several famous sacred stones are meteorites that have never been tested. Their guardians may avoid examination because geology could challenge tradition. Yet a confirmed extraterrestrial origin might strengthen the mystery rather than weaken it. The object truly would have arrived from beyond Earth. A relic worshipped for thousands of years may therefore be exactly what believers always said it was: a physical visitor from the heavens. The Kaaba once contained many objects that vanished after religious transformation. Before Islam, the Kaaba was associated with numerous tribal sacred objects. Historical traditions describe idols and images kept within or around the sanctuary. After Mecca changed, those objects were removed. Most disappeared completely. Their destruction symbolized the end of an older religious order, but not every object may have been lost. Some could have been hidden by families who had protected them for generations. Others may have been carried into remote regions and renamed. The missing collection could reveal how Arabian traditions connected with neighboring cultures before Islam. Some people suspect that certain objects preserved knowledge about astronomy, trade routes, or ancient pilgrimage practices. Their disappearance created a clean break between two worlds. Yet history is rarely that simple. Sacred objects often survive by changing identity. A former idol might become an anonymous family heirloom. A carved stone could remain buried beneath a house. If any pieces from the old Kaaba still exist, their owners may not realize they are holding relics from a vanished religious landscape. Some reliquaries were shaped like the body parts stored inside them. A hand bone might be placed inside a golden hand. A skull fragment could rest within a silver head. These containers made the invisible relic visually present. Pilgrims could not see the bone clearly, but they knew exactly what part of the saint they were approaching. Yet the design may have served another purpose. The outer shape could act as a map, showing where the most powerful fragment was hidden. Some reliquaries contained secret compartments beyond the main cavity. Others were repaired so many times that their original layout is uncertain. A jeweled arm might conceal more than one relic or something entirely different. Some people believe the body-shaped container was not merely decorative. It recreated the saint in symbolic form, allowing the relic to function as a complete presence. The metal shell became a new body. If medieval craftsmen believed shape could direct spiritual power, every reliquary was also a device. The bone inside supplied the connection. The outer form controlled how that connection entered the world. A feather supposedly belonging to the Archangel Michael drew medieval pilgrims. A church that claimed to possess a feather from an angel offered something far stranger than an ordinary saint's relic. Angels were not believed to have human bodies, so the object raised immediate questions. Was the feather physical evidence of a being from another realm? Medieval believers sometimes accepted such claims because angels appeared with wings in sacred art. Critics saw obvious fraud involving a large bird. Yet the relic's power came from the possibility that heaven had left behind a material trace. Some people believe the feather may have come from an exotic species unknown to local communities. Its unusual size or color could have inspired a supernatural explanation. Others think the object was symbolic from the beginning and was never intended as biological proof. More daring ideas suggest that descriptions of winged beings preserved encounters with visitors using equipment mistaken for feathers. If the relic survived, modern testing could identify its species. Its disappearance may be the reason the legend remains impossible to settle. The bones of Adam were once believed buried beneath Calvary. A powerful medieval tradition placed Adam's grave directly beneath the site where Jesus was crucified. In many images, a skull appears at the base of the cross. That skull represents the first man. The symbolism suggests that the crucifixion happened above the place where humanity's earliest ancestor was buried. Yet some people believe the tradition began with an actual discovery. Ancient bones may have been found in a cave beneath the hill and given the identity of Adam. If the remains looked unusually old or different, the claim would have seemed convincing. Another possibility is that the location preserved a much older burial tradition absorbed into Christianity. Calvary may have been sacred long before the 1st century. The story of Adam then linked the beginning of humanity with redemption. If hidden chambers still exist beneath the site, they could contain remains that shaped this belief. The skull beneath the cross may not be only a symbol. It may remember something once found underground. Sacred relics occasionally became diplomatic gifts between rival kings and emperors. A ruler could send gold and still be distrusted. A relic carried a different message. Giving away a sacred object created a bond that seemed protected by heaven. It could seal marriages, end wars, or persuade a foreign court to support an alliance. Yet the gift also created a hidden imbalance. The receiving ruler gained prestige, while the giver proved he possessed enough sacred power to share it. Some relics may have been carefully chosen copies. A convincing substitute allowed a king to appear generous while keeping the genuine object. Others may have contained tiny, authentic fragments inside elaborate new containers. This made the gift both real and controlled. Some people believe diplomacy helped spread relics according to secret political plans. Objects moved wherever alliances needed strengthening. Their journeys reveal networks of influence that ordinary treaties do not show. A relic in one cathedral may therefore be evidence of a forgotten agreement between rulers who publicly appeared to be enemies. The Holy House of Loreto supposedly traveled across continents without human transport. In Loreto, Italy, a small stone building is believed to be the home where Mary lived in Nazareth. Tradition says the structure vanished from the Holy Land and appeared first in Croatia before reaching Italy. The journey was credited to angels. Later records introduced another possibility. A family called Angeli may have arranged for stones from the original house to be transported by ship. That explanation sounds reasonable, yet it creates problems of its own. The walls in Loreto contain materials associated with the region around Nazareth, and their construction differs from ordinary medieval Italian buildings. Some people believe the house was dismantled, moved in sections, and rebuilt without the public understanding how it happened. Others suspect the story of angels concealed a secret rescue operation during a time of war. If so, an entire sacred building may have become a relic in motion. The mystery is not merely whether the house traveled. It is who had the power to move it while leaving so little behind. A preserved arm of St. George became tied to crusading legends. St. George became the perfect warrior saint, he was linked with courage, dragons, and victory against impossible odds. Relics said to come from his body traveled through the medieval world, and one preserved arm gained special importance. Knights believed that a limb once used in battle could pass strength to those who carried it. The arm was not simply displayed. It became part of a larger story about holy warfare and divine approval. Some traditions claimed that George appeared on battlefields when Christian armies were close to defeat. A relic connected with him could therefore be treated like a signal that victory was still possible. The darker question is whether crusading leaders used such objects to control frightened soldiers. The leaf could transform panic into obedience. Yet stories of sudden courage and unlikely survival kept the legend alive. If the arm was genuine, it belonged to a man whose identity remains uncertain. If it was not, then someone created one of history's most effective weapons from an anonymous bone. Several monasteries claim relics rescued from Constantinople during its final collapse. When Constantinople fell, sacred objects vanished into ships, private collections, and distant religious houses. Monks claimed they had rescued relics moments before the city was lost. Some arrived in the West with letters explaining their identity. Others appeared with no reliable history at all. The chaos made verification almost impossible. A genuine treasure could travel beside a clever fake, and both might receive equal devotion. Yet the number of objects said to have escaped suggests that organized removal began before the final attack. Certain monasteries may have served as emergency vaults prepared years in advance. The most important relics could have been divided among several routes, so no single capture destroyed the entire collection. Some people believe hidden inventories still exist, written in codes understood only by the original guardians. If those records survive, they may reveal that famous relics are resting under false names across Europe. Constantinople's sacred treasury may not have disappeared. It may have been deliberately scattered so completely that nobody could ever rebuild the full picture. The Grail may have begun as a pagan object before Christian retelling. Long before medieval writers described a holy cup, older legends told of magical cauldrons and vessels that restored life or provided endless food. These stories appeared in Celtic tradition and other ancient cultures. When Christianity spread through Europe, familiar symbols may have been given new meanings. A pagan vessel could become the cup from the Last Supper. This would explain why early Grail stories often feel stranger than ordinary Christian relic tales. The object sometimes heals a wounded land. In other versions, it feeds entire groups or chooses who may approach it. Those powers sound older than the biblical story attached to them. Some people believe the Grail legend preserved the memory of a real ritual object hidden during religious change. Its guardians may have allowed the story to become Christian so the relic could survive. If so, the Grail is not one tradition replacing another. It is both traditions layered together. The sacred cup may be the final disguise of an object worshipped centuries before anyone called it the Grail. A mysterious black Madonna may conceal far older religious symbolism. Across Europe, certain statues of Mary appear with dark or black skin. Some were darkened by smoke or age, but others seem to have been made that way deliberately. These black Madonnas attract intense devotion and are often connected with underground chapels, hidden caves, or ancient pilgrimage routes. Their origins remain uncertain. Some people believe they preserve symbols from older goddesses associated with fertility, earth, or hidden wisdom. When Christianity became dominant, the earlier figure may have been renamed rather than destroyed. That would explain why some shrines stand on locations already considered sacred before the churches were built. The color may also carry meanings linked with transformation or secret knowledge. Official explanations usually remain cautious because each statue has a different history. Yet the repeated pattern continues to provoke speculation. Perhaps the Black Madonna is not merely an artistic variation. She may be a relic of cultural survival. Beneath the familiar identity could remain the memory of a figure worshipped long before medieval Europe understood her as Mary. Some relics were sealed inside altars and forgotten for hundreds of years. Many old altars were built around hidden cavities containing bones, cloth, or tiny containers. The relic made the altar sacred, but later generations did not always know what had been placed inside. Churches were rebuilt. Records disappeared. Walls shifted around objects nobody remembered. Centuries later, workers sometimes opened an altar and found a sealed package with an unreadable label. The discovery could create a mystery immediately. Was the relic genuine? Had someone hidden it during danger? Why had every memory of it vanished? Some people believe forgotten altar cavities still contain objects removed from public view for reasons that were never recorded. A controversial relic could be hidden where worship continued above it every day. That would be a perfect method of protection. Nobody would search beneath the most sacred part of the church. The object could survive while its story died. If old altars were examined systematically, many unknown relics might appear. The problem is that opening them could destroy the very structures that kept their secrets safe. The sandals of Jesus have drawn pilgrims since the early Middle Ages. A pair of sandals preserved in Prüm, Germany, has long been linked with Jesus. Tradition says the relic reached the monastery through royal and papal connections. At first, the claim seems impossible to verify. Footwear made from organic material should not survive easily across so many centuries. Yet the sandals became important enough to influence power. They were associated with rulers who wanted control over the monastery and the prestige that came with the relic. Some people believe only part of the footwear is ancient, while later materials were added to preserve the shape. Others suspect the sandals came from a different sacred figure and were renamed during a political struggle. The object's simplicity makes the mystery more compelling. This is not a crown or golden weapon. It is something worn during ordinary movement. If genuine, the relic could preserve physical traces of one of history's most influential lives. If false, then generations of powerful people built serious claims around one of the humblest objects imaginable. Ancient kings placed relics beneath thrones to strengthen their sacred authority. A throne was more than a seat. It was the point where a human ruler became the center of a kingdom. Placing a relic beneath it added another layer of power. The king sat physically above the remains of a saint, ancestor, or sacred object. This created the impression that his authority rose from something older and greater than himself. Some traditions used stones beneath coronation chairs. Others placed bones or fragments inside royal platforms. The hidden object was rarely visible, but that secrecy may have increased its importance. Only a small circle knew what supported the ruler. Some people believe certain thrones contained objects from defeated cultures. By sitting above them, the new king symbolically controlled the previous order. A relic beneath a throne could therefore represent protection, inheritance, or conquest. If surviving royal furniture were examined fully, hidden compartments might reveal unexpected histories. The true foundation of a dynasty may not have been law or blood. It may have been an object sealed beneath the ruler's body. The sword of St. Peter still exists according to one Polish tradition. In Poznan, a sword is preserved as the weapon St. Peter used when a servant's ear was cut off during the arrest of Jesus. The blade looks unlike the elegant swords of later Europe. Its broad shape resembles ancient weapons from the Roman world. That has allowed the tradition to survive despite obvious uncertainty. Some believe the sword reached Poland as a gift from a pope during the country's conversion to Christianity. If so, it was used not merely as a relic, but as proof that the new faith carried direct authority from the apostles. Skeptics argue that the weapon may be medieval, yet the design remains unusual enough to keep questions alive. Some people suspect the sword was chosen because it already had an ancient reputation. Its connection with Peter may have been added later. Another possibility is that the surviving object is a ceremonial copy protecting the original. If the true weapon exists, it would be one of the few relics connected to a violent moment involving an apostle before the crucifixion. A legendary cauldron may have shaped later stories about the Holy Grail. Ancient Welsh and Celtic stories describe cauldrons that restored the dead, produced endless food, or revealed hidden knowledge. These vessels were not ordinary household objects. They stood at the center of stories about kingship and supernatural power. When Grail legends appeared centuries later, many of the same ideas returned in a Christian form. The sacred vessel healed wounded rulers and transformed those permitted to see it. Some people believe the Grail story was built directly from these older cauldron traditions. If so, medieval writers were not inventing a new mystery. They were disguising an ancient one. A real ceremonial vessel may have existed behind the legends. It could have been used in rituals involving trance, medicine, or symbolic rebirth. As religious power changed, the object may have been hidden while its story adapted. The cup became acceptable. The cauldron disappeared. Yet the older powers remained inside the new legend. The Grail may therefore be the surviving memory of a relic whose original name has been forgotten. Relics of the Passion were once concentrated inside one royal chapel. Sainte-Chapelle in Paris was created to hold an extraordinary collection connected with the final days of Jesus. The French crown-acquired object said to include the crown of thorns and other relics of the Passion. The chapel itself became a giant reliquary built from stone and colored glass. Yet concentrating so many sacred treasures in one place created immense risk. Fire, revolution, or theft could erase the collection at once. Some relics were later lost. Others survived through careful removal. This raises the possibility that the public chapel never contained every genuine object. Royal guardians may have displayed selected pieces while keeping the most important fragments elsewhere. A king who paid enormous sums for relics would have understood the need for decoys. Some people believe hidden chambers existed within royal religious buildings for exactly that purpose. If the visible collection was only the public layer, the true Passion treasury may have been divided and moved before disaster struck. Its scattered remains could still be misidentified in private holdings. The skull of Mary Magdalene remains displayed in southern France. Inside a basilica in St. Maximin rests a skull believed to belong to Mary Magdalene. Tradition says she traveled to southern France after leaving the Holy Land and spent her final years there. The story created one of Europe's most remarkable alternative histories. If true, an important biblical figure lived far beyond the world described in Scripture. The skull is displayed behind glass with a darkened area believed to mark where Jesus touched her forehead. Skeptics question both the journey and the relic's identity. Yet the French tradition has survived for centuries. Some people believe Mary carried teachings that were deliberately kept outside official records. Her supposed arrival in Gaul became connected with secret bloodline theories and hidden communities. The skull therefore represents more than bodily remains. It stands at the center of claims that early Christianity developed in ways the mainstream account ignores. If modern testing were ever permitted, the results could challenge or destroy the legend. Until then, the relic continues to guard one of Christianity's most provocative possibilities. Some supposed relics arrived with documents that historians now consider suspicious. A relic without a story was simply an old object. To become powerful, it needed a record, explaining where it came from and how it traveled. Medieval churches often preserved letters or certificates supporting their claims. Some of those documents now appear to have been written much later than the events they describe. Names are wrong. Dates do not fit. Writing styles belong to another period. This suggests that the paperwork may have been created to give an uncertain object a convincing past. Yet a forged document does not always prove a forged relic. The genuine history may have been lost, forcing guardians to reconstruct it from memory. Another possibility is that false papers were designed to conceal the true root. A relic stolen during war could receive a cleaner story before public display. Some people believe the most suspicious documents may hide the most interesting objects. The record was not created because the relic was worthless. It was created because the real story could not safely be told. A sacred spear in Armenia is linked to the crucifixion story. At the monastery of Jegard in Armenia, a spearhead has long been honored as the weapon used at the crucifixion. Tradition says the apostle Thaddeus brought it to the region. The monastery's name itself is connected with the spear, showing how deeply the relic shaped the site. Unlike the more famous imperial lance in Vienna, the Armenian object has a pointed shape that looks almost ceremonial. Critics say it does not resemble a normal Roman weapon. Supporters argue that later alterations may have changed its appearance, or that the surviving piece is only part of the original. Some people believe the different holy lances served different purposes. One may have been the battlefield symbol of emperors. Another may have preserved the actual sacred fragment. The Armenian relic's remote location could have protected it from the political struggles that surrounded Western versions. If the true spear was moved east early enough, Europe may have spent centuries fighting over copies, while the genuine object remained guarded inside a mountain monastery. The missing bones of Alexander the Great became relics of imperial obsession. Alexander's body was treated as one of the greatest prizes in the ancient world. After his death, the funeral procession was diverted, and the remains ended up in Egypt. Later, rulers visited the tomb in Alexandria. Roman emperors came to see the man whose conquests they hoped to equal. Then the burial place disappeared. Nobody knows where the body went. Earthquakes, religious conflict, and rebuilding transformed the city. Some people believe the remains were hidden by priests who feared destruction. Others suspect they were moved and later mistaken for the bones of a saint. That possibility is especially intriguing because an important ancient body could survive under a new religious identity. A tomb honored today may contain a conqueror rather than the figure named above it. Alexander's remains would carry enormous symbolic power for anyone seeking authority over the ancient world. If rulers found the body, they may have hidden the discovery. The greatest imperial relic in history could still lie beneath Alexandria or inside a shrine nobody would think to question. Ancient relics were sometimes discovered after unexplained lights appeared nearby. Stories of sacred discoveries often begin with a light seen above the ground. Shepherds, travelers, or monks noticed a glow that returned night after night. When they dug beneath it, they found bones, statues, or buried containers. Religious accounts interpreted the light as a sign guiding people toward the relic. Skeptics may point to marsh gas, reflected fire, or later invention. Yet the pattern appears often enough to raise questions. Perhaps the light marked disturbed ground where natural gases escaped. Perhaps guardians used lamps as secret signals and the story changed over time. Some people believe certain buried materials can produce unusual electrical effects under specific conditions. Metal, crystals, or decaying organic matter might create a faint glow that ancient witnesses could not explain. The discovery legend may therefore preserve a real physical event. If sacred objects were hidden with unusual substances, the light could have revealed the cache centuries later. What people called a miracle may have been the relic, announcing its location through forgotten material science. The robe of Muhammad became central to ceremonies in the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman court preserved a cloak associated with Muhammad inside the imperial treasury. It was not treated as a private museum object. During moments of danger, the robe could be brought into ceremonies that united political and religious power. Sultans understood that guardianship of the relic strengthened their claim to lead the Muslim world. One ritual involved touching cloths to the mantle and distributing water connected with the ceremony. The object's influence extended far beyond its fabric. Yet its location inside a palace also placed it under complete state control. Public access depended on the ruler. Some people believe the Ottomans possessed several related garments and carefully distinguished between the true relic and ceremonial substitutes. Others suspect the original may have been moved during periods of instability. If the public robe was ever replaced, only a few officials would have known. The mystery matters because empires may have made decisions around objects they considered spiritually active. Behind official politics stood a garment believed capable of protecting an entire state. A hidden chamber beneath a cathedral may still contain forgotten reliquaries. Cathedrals were built over earlier churches, crypts, graves, and foundations that can extend deep below the visible floor. Construction records are often incomplete. Passages were sealed during rebuilding, and later generations forgot why they existed. Ground surveys sometimes reveal empty spaces where no room is known. Many are dismissed as structural gaps or old burial vaults. Yet any one of them could contain reliquaries hidden during war or religious upheaval. The most valuable objects would have been placed where ordinary thieves could never reach them. Some people believe secret chambers were sealed from the inside after guardians completed their task. That would explain why no doorway remains visible. A cathedral may therefore contain layers of sacred history unknown even to the clergy who serve there. Opening such a chamber would be risky. Air could damage cloth, parchment, or human remains within minutes. The perfect vault may also be a trap. Its contents survived because nobody disturbed them. Discovery could become the moment when preservation finally ends. Relics from Noah's Ark were displayed throughout medieval Christian Europe. Medieval churches claimed to possess pieces of wood from Noah's Ark. To believers, these fragments were physical evidence that the flood had truly happened. Yet identifying wood from a vessel older than every known kingdom would be almost impossible. That did not stop the relics from attracting devotion. Some were said to come from Mount Ararat. Travelers returned with dark pieces of timber and stories of ancient remains preserved in ice. A fragment could then be divided among several churches. Some people believe the trade in ark wood began with ordinary material gathered from the mountain. Others suspect a much older tradition behind the claims. If ancient wooden structures were ever found at high altitude, their fragments may have circulated long before modern archaeology could examine them. The relics have mostly disappeared or lost their documented identity. That makes testing difficult. Somewhere in an old collection, a piece of wood labeled as an ordinary medieval relic could come from a site that inspired one of humanity's most enduring disaster stories. The Tablet of Destinies supposedly gave its holder control over the universe. Ancient Mesopotamian mythology describes a tablet that granted supreme authority over the order of existence. Whoever held it could command divine law and determine fate. In the stories, gods and monsters fought over its possession. This was not a religious text in the ordinary sense. It functioned like the control center of reality. Some people believe the legend preserves the memory of an actual object used by rulers or priests. It may have contained astronomical records, royal codes, or knowledge that allowed prediction of floods and celestial events. To ancient people, the power to predict the future could look like the power to control it. More speculative theories imagine a device capable of storing information beyond normal writing. The tablet may have been described symbolically because later generations no longer understood its function. If a physical version existed, it could have been hidden after a political collapse. The myth's greatest warning is simple. Ultimate power did not belong permanently to any god. It belonged to whoever possessed the object. Some cursed relics are blamed for illness, misfortune, and sudden death. Not every relic is believed to protect its owner. Some are said to punish anyone who steals, displays, or even touches them. Stories describe collectors becoming ill after bringing sacred objects into their homes. Families experience accidents until the item is returned. Museums receive anonymous packages from frightened people who no longer want the object. Skeptics point to coincidence and the way fear can shape memory. Yet curses often function as powerful security systems. A warning attached to a relic can protect it long after human guards disappear. Some people believe the curse may also reflect real danger. Ancient materials can contain toxins, mold, or radiation. A sealed object opened in a modern room could release something its makers understood only through ritual warnings. Other relics may carry psychological power because of the violence surrounding them. Once a person believes the object is dangerous, every misfortune becomes evidence. Whether supernatural or not, cursed relics often achieve the same result. They force people to return what history insists should remain undisturbed. The head of St. Oliver Plunkett remains preserved behind glass in Ireland. St. Oliver Plunkett was executed in London during a period of intense religious and political fear. His body was divided after death, and his head eventually returned to Ireland. Today, it is displayed in Drogheda, behind glass. The face is darkened, but still recognizably human. Unlike many ancient relics, this one belongs to a well-documented historical figure. That makes the experience more immediate. Visitors are not looking at a symbolic container. They are looking at the actual head of a man whose death became part of a wider political struggle. The relic's survival also reveals how carefully supporters protected his memory when authorities wanted it destroyed. Some people believe physical remains become more powerful when attempts are made to erase them. The state ended the man's life, yet his face remained visible centuries later. In that sense, the relic defeated the execution. It transformed punishment into permanent testimony. The head is not mysterious because its identity is unknown. It is mysterious because history tried to silence someone and preserved him instead. A sacred bowl in Afghanistan became linked to both Buddha and Muhammad. A huge stone bowl in Kandahar carries traditions from more than one religion. Some stories connect it with the Buddha, who supposedly used it during his travels. Later, Islamic tradition associated it with Muhammad. The same object therefore became sacred within different systems of belief across centuries. That overlap suggests the bull was already ancient and important before either story became attached to it. Its size makes ordinary use seem unlikely. Some people believe it served as a ritual vessel for water, offerings, or public ceremonies. Others suspect it once belonged to a much older culture whose identity disappeared during repeated conquest. Rather than destroy the object, each new tradition adopted it. This may be how powerful relics survive religious change. The name changes, but the sacred status remains. If the bowl's stow could be traced to a distant quarry, its movement might reveal forgotten trade or pilgrimage routes. The object may not prove either legend. It may preserve something more unusual, a sacred continuity that outlived every explanation placed upon it. Lost relics from Constantinople may survive unidentified in private collections. After Constantinople was looted, its treasures spread across Europe through soldiers, merchants, rulers, and churches. Many famous objects were documented. Others entered private hands and vanished from public history. A reliquary could later lose its label or be sold as ordinary medieval metalwork. A sacred fragment might remain inside, while collectors valued only the decorated container. Some people believe important relics from the imperial treasury now sit in private collections whose owners do not understand what they possess. Others may know exactly what they own and prefer secrecy. Revealing the object could trigger legal claims from countries, churches, and descendants of earlier institutions. The relic's value would also make it a target. This creates a world where silence is profitable. Auction records occasionally show mysterious objects with vague histories beginning soon after periods of war. One of them could carry a missing piece of Constantinople's sacred past. The city's greatest treasures may not be destroyed or buried. They may be displayed in private rooms under names that conceal their true origin. Ancient crowns sometimes concealed fragments of wood, bone, or sacred cloth. A crown could function as a reliquary without anyone in the crowd knowing it. Tiny compartments inside royal headpieces sometimes held fragments linked with saints or sacred events. This meant the ruler wore physical holiness directly above the mind. The relic was hidden beneath jewels and metal, combining political authority with invisible protection. Some people believe crowns were designed around these fragments rather than adding them later. The sacred material may have been the true center of the object. Everything visible existed to protect and magnify it. If a crown passed between dynasties, the relic also transferred its claim of legitimacy. Removing the hidden fragment could symbolically empty the crown of power. That possibility raises questions about royal objects preserved in museums. Have every compartment and repair been examined? A small piece of wood might be dismissed as packing material. A thread could appear meaningless. Yet to the original makers, that hidden fragment may have mattered more than every jewel surrounding it. The crown's real treasure may never have been visible. The bones of Saint Mark may have been stolen from Alexandria. According to tradition, Venetian merchants removed the body of Saint Mark from Alexandria during the 9th century. They supposedly hid the remains beneath pork, so Muslim officials would avoid inspecting the cargo. The bones then reached Venice, where Saint Mark became the city's patron. A magnificent basilica rose around the relic. The story sounds like an adventure designed to glorify Venice, but it may preserve a real act of sacred theft. The merchants claimed they were rescuing the remains from danger. Alexandria had every reason to see the event differently. Some people believe the body taken from the tomb was not Mark at all. A daring theory suggests the bones may have belonged to Alexander the Great, whose missing burial was also associated with Alexandria. If ancient identities became confused, Venice could have built its sacred center around the remains of a conqueror. That idea remains unproven, but it reveals the extraordinary uncertainty surrounding famous bodies. The same bones can support entirely different histories depending on who controls their name. A mysterious relic called the Holy Face remains hidden in an Italian village. In Manopello, a thin veil bears the image of a man's face. The cloth is so fine that light passes through it. The image can be seen from both sides, and its expression seems to change under different conditions. Some believe it is the original veil of Veronica that vanished from Rome. Others connect it with the burial of Jesus. The material itself has caused debate because ordinary paint appears difficult to apply to such delicate fibers. Skeptics argue that an artist could still have created the image using unusual techniques. Yet the relic's history before its arrival in the village remains uncertain. Some people suspect it was quietly removed from Rome during rebuilding and passed into private protection. If so, one of Christianity's greatest lost images may have survived because it was mistaken for a local curiosity. The veil is not completely hidden, but its location keeps it outside the attention given to larger institutions. Sometimes the safest place for a famous relic is somewhere the world considers too small to matter. Some sacred objects are never shown because tradition forbids direct human sight. Certain relics are believed to lose their power or bring disaster if exposed. Their containers may be opened only by selected guardians, or not opened at all. Worshippers honor the object without ever seeing it. This creates the strongest possible mystery, because no outsider can confirm whether anything remains inside. Skeptics see an obvious way to protect a false claim. Believers see obedience as part of the relic's sacred nature. Yet the prohibition may have begun for practical reasons. The object could be fragile, dangerous, or politically explosive. A tradition against looking would preserve it better than any lock. Some people believe a few hidden relics contain forms or materials that would challenge accepted history immediately. Their appearance alone might reveal a foreign origin or unknown technology. Others suspect the empty container is itself the point. Faith survives without proof. Whatever the reason, unseen relics reverse the normal purpose of an object. Their power does not come from being displayed. It comes from the certainty that someone is preventing us from looking. The world's most important relics may still be wrongly labeled in museums. Museums contain millions of objects whose identities depend on old records, damaged labels, and educated guesswork. A fragment collected centuries ago may have been separated from its original story. One mistake can then follow the object through every catalogue that comes after. This creates an extraordinary possibility. A famous missing relic could already be on display under the wrong name. A sacred vessel might be described as ordinary tableware. A royal object could sit inside a storage drawer marked as an unknown fragment. Some people believe early collectors deliberately changed labels to avoid confiscation or religious conflict. Others hid valuable objects inside collections of unimportant material. Modern experts usually study pieces according to the category already assigned to them. If that category is wrong, the most important clues may be overlooked. Rediscovery might require someone to question an assumption made hundreds of years ago. The greatest relic hunt may not lead into a desert or underground vault. It may begin by reading a museum label and deciding that the official description makes no sense. Forgotten vaults beneath old churches could contain relics believed lost forever. Beneath many ancient churches lies a second architecture of crypts, blocked corridors, burial chambers, and sealed foundations. Some spaces appear on old plans. Others exist only in local stories. During wars, revolutions, and periods of persecution, clergy moved sacred objects underground to protect them. Not every hiding place was reopened. Keys disappeared. Entrances were covered during later construction. In some cases, the people who knew the route were killed or scattered. This means a church can stand above its own lost treasury without anyone realizing it. Some people believe ground scans have already revealed chambers that institutions are reluctant to investigate. Opening them could create structural danger or expose ownership disputes. It could also reveal that a famous relic thought destroyed was hidden beneath worshippers all along. The final mystery is almost irresistible. Centuries of pilgrims may have traveled across continents searching for sacred objects while walking directly above them. History's missing relics may not be far away. They may be waiting beneath the buildings that once claimed to lose them. Tonight, we have explored a world where ordinary objects can become the center of extraordinary stories. We followed sacred treasures through ruined cities, hidden chapels, royal courts, and forgotten underground chambers. We encountered relics said to heal the sick, protect entire kingdoms, choose rulers, and punish those who disturbed them. Some vanished during war. Others survived through secrecy substitution, or pure chance. We considered the possibility that famous relics may be hiding behind false names. They could be resting inside private collections or sealed beneath buildings that have stood for centuries. Perhaps some were lost because their guardians died before revealing the truth. Perhaps others were never lost at all. These stories remind us that history is not always preserved neatly. It can be scattered across broken records, disputed objects, and traditions passed from one generation to the next. Sometimes the unanswered questions become as powerful as the relics themselves. If you have enjoyed this journey through hidden history, mysterious objects, and ancient possibilities, you are always welcome to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps more sleepy souls discover these curious stories. And if you happen to still be awake, another mystery is waiting for you on the screen. You can follow it whenever you are ready. But for now, there is nothing more you need to solve. Let the old vaults close again. Let the distant cathedrals grow still. Imagine the relics resting safely inside their cases, hidden chambers, and ancient sanctuaries. Allow your breathing to slow. Let your shoulders soften. The questions can remain unanswered tonight. They will still be there another time. For now, let the final images fade. Let the old stories drift into the distance and allow your thoughts to become calm and unhurried. Sleep well and good night.